What if I told you that the most powerful weapon you possess isn't your charm, your intellect, or even your physical beauty, but your silence? Yes, you heard me right. Silence. In today's fast-paced world, where everyone is quick to speak, argue, or try to be heard, silence can feel like an unusual, almost forgotten tool. But here's the truth. Silence holds a unique power, one that commands attention, leaves people questioning themselves, and can even transform the dynamics of any relationship. And when it comes to dealing with men whose egos are larger than life, silence is nothing short of your secret weapon. Imagine this. You're in a heated conversation with a man who is so wrapped up in his own world that no amount of words from you seem to make a difference. You try to explain, to reason, yet all he does is dig himself deeper into his self-important mindset. Does it sound familiar? It's frustrating, isn't it? You begin to wonder if you're just feeding into the ego you're trying to deflate. The reality is, most of the time, you are. But don't worry, there's a way out, and it's simpler than you think. We've all been conditioned to believe that effective communication is about speaking up, making our points, and convincing others with our words. But what if the true key lies in saying nothing at all? Silence isn't weakness, nor is it passivity. In fact, silence is one of the most active forms of communication there is. It's intentional, it's bold, and it challenges people to reflect inward. It's the act of letting go of the need to manipulate someone's perception of you, and instead creating space where they're forced to confront their own thoughts and actions. Now, imagine the impact of using silence strategically to neutralize a man's inflated ego, all while maintaining your own peace and power. Sounds almost too good to be true, right? But let me assure you, it's not only possible, it's something you can master. Through a few simple steps, you can learn to wield silence as a tool for reclaiming your own power, fostering self-respect, and adding an air of mystery that will leave him utterly captivated, wondering what just happened. Before we dive deeper into this, I want to ask you, are you ready to stop feeding his ego? Are you prepared to take back your own power and redefine your interactions? If you are, then keep watching, because what you'll discover here will change how you engage with not just men, but with everyone in your life. It will help you elevate your self-worth and redefine the way you communicate, not just with words, but with your very presence. Step 1. Understand why. Silence holds more power than words. The power of silence over words. Why does silence work so effectively, especially with someone whose ego is out of control? Think about this. We live in a world that thrives on noise, whether it's constant chatter, arguments, or debates. Men, particularly those with fragile egos, crave attention in any form, whether it's positive admiration or even conflict. They're like hungry wolves, constantly seeking validation, and every word you utter becomes fuel to their fire. The more you engage, the more you're feeding their need to be seen, heard, and validated. But when you remain silent, you starve that fire. Picture this. You're in a conversation with a man who's trying to provoke you with a sharp comment, a dismissive remark, or maybe even a challenge. He's waiting for a reaction, craving some acknowledgement, either a defense, an attack, or at least a rise in emotion. But instead of reacting, you pause. You take a deep breath, look him in the eyes, and say nothing. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere? That silence holds more power than 1,000 words. It's not weakness, it's confidence. It's the ability to stand tall without needing to prove anything. It's the mark of someone who knows their worth and doesn't need to explain it to anyone. And here's where the magic happens. When you remain silent, you create a void, a space where he must confront his own ego and his own behavior. This is where the real transformation begins. When you stop reacting, you disrupt the predictable pattern of behavior that his ego thrives on. An ego-driven man is used to a specific kind of response, either admiration or confrontation. It's like a script he's playing over and over again. But when you break that pattern, when you stay silent, you disrupt everything. It's as if you've pulled the rug out from under him, leaving him off balance, unsure of how to proceed. And in that uncertainty, real growth happens. So, why should you like, share, and subscribe to this channel? Because what you're learning here isn't just about dealing with egos, it's about reclaiming your own power, growing into a more confident version of yourself, and mastering the art of communication on a deeper level. These tips can transform how you handle not just men, but every relationship in your life. You won't want to miss the wisdom that's coming up next, so be sure to stay tuned and share this with anyone who could benefit from a little more power and a lot more peace in their interactions. What if I told you that the most powerful tool in your arsenal isn't your charm, your intelligence, or even your words, but your silence? Yes, you heard me right, silence. In a world where everyone seems to be constantly talking, defending their point of view, or striving for validation, silence can be your most potent weapon, especially when dealing with a man whose ego has inflated to the point of bursting. This isn't about punishing him, playing mind games, or manipulating the situation. No, it's about reclaiming your inner peace, setting boundaries, and sending a message so powerful that words simply can't compete. Enter Stoicism, the philosophy that teaches the art of emotional control. It's not about suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about taking the reins of your emotions and deciding which ones deserve your energy. Silence, in this context, is an act of stoic love. It's not about ignoring him out of malice, but rather protecting your peace and allowing him the space to reflect something an inflated ego can't fathom. Reflection isn't something that most men with inflated egos expect. They thrive on attention, admiration, or conflict. But the last thing they anticipate is the silence of someone who refuses to play their game. But here's the key. Silence is not about making him feel bad or punishing him. It's about you choosing not to feed into the chaos and drama. Think of it like this. When you stay silent, you're telling him that your time and energy are too valuable to waste on engaging in ego-driven battles. It's about reclaiming your energy and taking back control of your narrative. This is where stoic love truly shines. It's about loving yourself enough to walk away from conflict. And in doing so, you create the opportunity for real growth and mutual respect. But here's the catch. Silence alone won't work unless it's paired with the right energy. Calm, composed, and unwavering confidence. Imagine sitting in the midst of a storm, unaffected by the chaos swirling around you. That's the kind of energy you need to channel when you choose silence. It's not passive, it's powerful. It's a declaration that you don't need anyone's approval or validation to know your worth. You are enough as you are. And here's the beauty of it. Silence doesn't just disarm an inflated ego, it empowers you. The more you practice using silence as a tool, the more you'll realize that your sense of self-worth is not tied to anyone else's opinion of you. It's freeing. It's like lifting a heavy weight off your shoulders. And here's the kicker. As you embrace this silence, the men around you will start to respect you in ways they never did before. Why? because silence demands respect. It signals that you are operating on a level where self-respect, dignity, and personal growth are non-negotiable. And that, my friends, is the energy that men can't resist. So the next time you face a man whose ego is running rampant, remember this. You don't have to fight him. You don't have to argue or prove him wrong. All you have to do is pause, take a deep breath, and let your silence speak louder than any words ever could. Silence isn't just your strength, it's your weapon, your freedom, and your power. Now that we've explored the transformative power of silence, are you ready to learn how to master it in your own life? Stick around, because what comes next will give you the tools to become the most confident, composed, and captivating version of yourself. You'll be equipped to handle any situation with grace and self-assurance. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel, because the wisdom you're about to gain is life-changing. Let's dive deeper together. 2. Understanding the nature of an inflated ego. To truly understand how your silence can crush a man's inflated ego, it's important to first understand what an inflated ego actually is. What does it look like? How does it operate? And why does it seem so difficult to break through? Let's dive into it and uncover the truth behind the mask. By the end of this section, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of how his inflated ego works, and how you can use that knowledge to your advantage. An inflated ego is like a balloon, big, loud, and designed to grab attention. But just like a balloon, it's fragile. It bursts easily when it meets resistance, and in this case, that resistance is your silence. A man with an inflated ego craves validation. He thrives on admiration, and he often uses bravado to mask his insecurities. He may appear confident, maybe even arrogant, but deep down, his self-worth is tied to the opinions and reactions of others. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how some men light up when they're the center of attention, only to deflate when they're ignored? That's because their ego is their lifeline. It's a defense mechanism they use to shield themselves from vulnerability and self-doubt. Society tells them they must be strong, confident, and invulnerable. So they hide their fears and project an image of dominance. Over time, that external image becomes their identity, and their ego grows to protect it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why should I care about the reasons behind his inflated ego? I just want to deal with it effectively. And you're right. Your goal isn't to psychoanalyze him, it's to empower yourself. But understanding why his ego exists gives you a crucial advantage. When you realize that his ego is often just a cover for deep-seated insecurities, you can approach the situation with clarity and calm rather than frustration or anger. So how do you spot an inflated ego in action? Let me paint a picture for you. He's the one who interrupts you constantly, dismisses your ideas without a second thought, or insists on always being right. He boasts about his achievements, demands attention, and struggles to take any criticism. Sound familiar? If you've encountered this kind of behavior, you've probably come across an inflated ego. But here's the twist. An inflated ego isn't as invincible as it seems. In fact, it's more vulnerable than you might think. An ego-driven man depends on external validation to maintain his sense of self. Every time you engage with him, whether by arguing, defending yourself, or even complimenting him, you're feeding that ego. You're giving him the validation he desperately craves, reinforcing the very behavior you're trying to stop. And this is where your silence becomes a game changer. By refusing to engage, you starve his ego of the attention it needs to thrive. Think of it this way. His ego is a balloon, and your silence is the needle that deflates it. Suddenly, his bravado vanishes, and he's left to face the vulnerability beneath it. Have you ever tried staying silent in the face of an inflated ego? If not, what's holding you back? Many people fear silence, thinking it will make them seem weak or submissive. But let me tell you something. True silence is none of those things. It's an active choice. It's a statement that says, I don't need to engage with your ego to prove my worth. And here's a secret. Men with inflated egos are often baffled by silence. They expect resistance, arguments, or even flattery. But when you remain calm, composed, and silent, you force them to look inward. And trust me, this is a place no ego-driven man wants to go. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back his behavior. And in that reflection, he faces his own vulnerability. That's when the transformation truly begins. When you refuse to feed a man's ego, you create an incredible space for him to face his own insecurities, possibly even allowing him the opportunity for growth. But let me be crystal clear. Your silence isn't about changing him. It's about reclaiming your power. You see, when you stop reacting, you take back control of the dynamic between you. You're not just refusing to engage in his drama. You're choosing to protect your own peace of mind. By doing so, you elevate yourself above the noise, chaos, and manipulation of his behavior. And you send a message that your energy is far too precious to be wasted. I challenge you to embrace this the next time you're caught in the middle of a man displaying an inflated ego. Instead of feeling pressured to react, resist that instinct. Stop. Take a deep breath and let your silence speak volumes. Trust me, the impact will be profound not only for him, but also for you. Silence has a way of shifting the balance in ways words simply can't. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever used silence in a difficult situation? What was the outcome? If you're ready to embrace the power of silence and see the transformation for yourself, drop a 1 in the comments below. And if you've been loving this video so far, please give it a like. Your support fuels our mission to share more life-changing content. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another tip that can elevate your life to new heights. You don't want to miss what's coming next, because we're about to dive even deeper into mastering silence and using it to command the respect you deserve and protect your peace. 3. Why words often backfire. Let's be real for a moment. When a man's ego is in full force, our first reaction might be to challenge him. We want to point out his flaws, correct his arrogance, or even prove him wrong. It feels good to unleash a storm of words, doesn't it? But here's the hard truth. Words rarely deflate an ego. In fact, most of the time, they make things worse. Why? Because the moment you engage in a battle of words, you're playing his game, and it's a game his inflated ego is designed to win. Think about it for a second. An inflated ego thrives on attention, whether it's admiration or resistance. When you argue, try to reason with him, or even fight back with your own words, you're giving him exactly what he wants: the spotlight. Every time you speak, no matter how well-intentioned or insightful your words are, you're only validating his inflated sense of self-importance. Picture this. You're trying to have a calm, rational conversation with a man whose ego is so large, it fills up the entire room. You stay composed, ready to make your point, but as soon as you open your mouth, he interrupts, twists your words, dismisses your ideas, or counters with a self-glorifying narrative. Sound familiar? It's frustrating, isn't it? No matter how much sense you make, It feels like he always has the power to turn it around and inflate his ego even further. And this is the trap of words. They're fuel for his fire. Every word you speak gives him the opportunity to assert his dominance, show off his wit, or highlight his intellect. The more you try to argue or win the conversation, the more entrenched his ego becomes. It's a vicious cycle, one that leaves you feeling drained, unheard, and utterly frustrated. But let's pause for a moment. Why do we even feel the need to engage with a man whose ego is inflated beyond reason? Is it because we believe we can change him? Or is it simply because we're tired of seeing him act this way? Maybe we just want to be heard, to feel validated. But whatever the reason, the outcome is almost always the same. We end up feeding the very ego we're trying to dismantle. This is where silence becomes your secret weapon. Silence isn't simply the absence of words, it's a powerful presence of intention. By choosing not to engage, you're making a statement that says, "I don't need to prove myself to you." It's a profound declaration of self-respect and emotional maturity that says so much without uttering a single word. Imagine this. You're in a heated exchange with a man whose ego is practically bursting at the seams. He's throwing insults, belittling you, and trying to pull you into an argument. In the past, you might have taken the bait, defended yourself, or even tried to win the battle. But this time, you do something different. You pause, take a deep breath, and say nothing. Can you feel the power in that moment? Your silence isn't passive, it's intentional. It's a deliberate refusal to engage on his terms, a choice to rise above the noise. And in that silence, something incredible happens. The balance of power begins to shift. He's no longer in control of the conversation because there is no conversation. His words hang in the air, unanswered, forcing him to confront the emptiness of his own bravado. But why do words backfire so often when dealing with an inflated ego? It's because words are inherently reactive. They respond to his behavior, his words, his actions, and as long as you're reacting, you're giving him control. Your words mirror his ego back to him, allowing him to reinforce his sense of superiority. Silence, on the other hand, is proactive. It's not a reaction, it's a powerful choice. When you remain silent, you're not just refusing to feed his ego. You're reclaiming your own power. You're telling him and yourself that your worth isn't dependent on his validation. Of course, embracing silence is no easy feat. It requires immense restraint, patience, and an unshakable sense of self-confidence. It means resisting the urge to defend yourself, to prove your point, or to win the argument. But the rewards? They're immeasurable. When you choose silence, you're not just disarming his ego, you're protecting your peace. How often do we let ourselves become embroiled in arguments, only to walk away feeling drained and emotionally exhausted? Silence changes the game. It allows you to disengage from the chaos and refocus on what truly matters, your own inner harmony. And that, my friend, is priceless. Are you ready to embrace the power of silence in your own life? Trust me, it's the ultimate tool for mastering any interaction with confidence and grace. Here's the game changer. Silence doesn't just protect you, it also forces him to face his own insecurities in a way words never could. When you choose not to react, you hold up a mirror that doesn't reflect his ego but exposes the vulnerability beneath it. And in that quiet reflection, there lies a potential for growth if he's willing to embrace it. But let me be clear, your silence isn't about changing him or teaching him a lesson. It's about empowering yourself. It's about saying, I will not waste my energy on someone who doesn't appreciate it. And in that powerful choice, you reclaim your peace, your power, and your dignity. Next time you're tempted to argue with an inflated ego, ask yourself, what is my true goal here? If your aim is to prove a point, remember that words won't do the trick. But if your goal is to protect your peace and stand strong in your own worth, then silence is your greatest ally. Believe me, the impact of your silence will be far more powerful than anything you could say. It will make him question his behavior, his intentions, and maybe even his own sense of self-worth. And that's a force no argument can match. 4. The strategic use of silence. Silence is not just a pause, it's a language all on its own, a silent force that can shift the entire energy of a conversation. When used intentionally, silence doesn't just fill the gaps between words, it becomes the loudest voice in the room. Let's dive into how you can strategically use silence to dismantle a man's inflated ego and earn the respect you truly deserve, like never before. Imagine this. A man with a massive ego is in the middle of a rant, interrupting you, belittling your ideas, and turning the conversation into a one-man show to glorify himself. You feel the surge of frustration, the urge to fight back, to challenge him. But instead of jumping in, you do something unexpected. You pause, take a breath, and remain silent. What happens next is pure magic. The silence shifts the entire energy of the interaction. His words echo around the room, unchallenged and unsupported. In that moment, he is left alone with his own ego. And trust me, that's a very uncomfortable place for an ego-driven man to be. This is the essence of strategic silence. It's not about ignoring him or withdrawing from the conversation. It's about consciously choosing when to engage and when to let your silence do the talking. Let's break down exactly how you can master this tool with purpose and precision. First, timing is everything. The most effective use of silence comes at moments of high tension, when emotions are running high and egos are flaring. These are the times when silence speaks the loudest. By removing your voice from the equation, you create space for reflection. Without your words to challenge him, he's left with only his own ego. And that's silence. It resonates much louder than any argument ever could. Second, pair silence with presence. Silence doesn't mean you disappear into the background. It means you remain fully present. Keep your posture strong, maintain eye contact, and exude calm authority. Your body language says, I'm here, but I'm not engaging with your drama. It's not a cold shoulder, it's quiet strength. Your silence shows that you're above playing into the chaos of his ego-driven antics. Third, let silence disrupt the pattern. A man with an inflated ego often thrives on predictable reactions. He knows how to push buttons and provoke responses. But when you don't give him the expected reaction, you disrupt his rhythm. Your silence becomes a surprise, something he can't control or manipulate. This throws him off balance, making him pause and reconsider his approach. Here's a powerful truth. Silence isn't just for confrontations or arguments. It's a tool you can wield in everyday interactions to shift the power dynamic. For example, when a man dominates the conversation, instead of interrupting to prove your point, wait, let the silence linger. People with inflated egos hate silence because it puts the focus back on them. They'll start to fill the void with their own words, and in doing so, they'll reveal more about themselves than they realize. But be mindful of your intentions. Silence isn't about punishing or manipulating others. It's not about playing the silent treatment game. It's about using silence strategically to protect your peace. It's a way of saying, I value my energy too much to waste it on unnecessary conflict. When used with intention, silence isn't just a response, it's a declaration of your boundaries and self-respect. Imagine how freeing this can be. How many times have you walked away from an argument feeling drained, wishing you'd handled it differently? Silence gives you the power to disengage from the chaos without losing your dignity. It allows you to stand your ground without getting caught up in someone else's ego-driven theatrics. This is where Stoic love comes into play. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our reactions, our emotions, and our energy. By choosing silence, you embody this principle, letting go of the need to change or control him. Instead, you channel your energy inward, preserving your peace. Let's make this real. The next time you're faced with a man who's trying to talk over you or dismiss your ideas, stop speaking. Hold his gaze. Don't look away, but don't respond either. Let the silence hang in the air for just a moment longer than feels comfortable. Watch what happens. Chances are, he'll falter. He may even soften his tone or backtrack. That's the power of silence at work. And here's the best part. As you master the art of strategic silence, you'll notice a shift not just in him, but in you. You'll feel more confident, more grounded, and more in control of your own emotions. Silence becomes a source of strength, a shield that protects your peace and asserts your worth without saying a single word. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever used silence as a tool in your relationships? What was the result? If you're ready to embrace the power of silence in your life, drop a 1 in the comments below. And if this video has helped you, don't forget to like and share it. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe to our channel for more insights and strategies to elevate your relationships and your personal growth. This is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll explore how silence can create mystery and respect, transforming the way others perceive you and respond to you. 5. How silence creates mystery and respect. Silence, when wielded with intention, doesn't just change the flow of a conversation, it elevates the way others perceive you. It creates an aura of mystery, a sense of intrigue that draws people in and makes them want to know more. In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, silence quietly sets you apart. It commands respect without ever demanding it. Think about the people who speak sparingly, but with purpose. Their words carry weight because they are never diluted by unnecessary chatter. They don't need to explain themselves or react to every situation. Their silence speaks volumes, giving others the space to project their thoughts, assumptions, and emotions onto them. The true magic of silence lies in how it shifts the dynamics around you. It allows people to wonder about you, to fill in the gaps with their curiosity, and ultimately to hold you in higher regard. Men, particularly those with inflated egos, are especially vulnerable to the impact of silence. Why? Because their egos thrive on certainty. They want to know how they're being perceived, to feel in control of the narrative, and to receive constant feedback, whether positive or negative. But when you remain silent, you deny them that certainty. You leave a gap that their ego can't easily fill, forcing them to reflect and question their own behavior. Let's explore this through an example. Imagine you're in a situation where a man with a huge ego is trying to impress you. He's bragging about his accomplishments, dropping names, and building himself up to be larger than life. Most people would feel the pressure to either compliment him, challenge him, or share their own stories to match his energy. But what if, instead of reacting, you simply listen attentively and let a thoughtful silence follow his words? In that moment, your silence becomes a mirror. He's left with his own words, and without validation or challenge, he begins to question himself. What is she thinking? Did I say too much? Does she even care? This curiosity plants the seed of mystery and draws him closer. At the same time, it makes him more aware of how he's coming across. The fascinating part is that mystery and respect often go hand in hand. When you're mysterious, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability demands attention. A man who can't predict your reactions will approach you with more care, thoughtfulness, and respect. Your silence disrupts his usual tactics, forcing him to consider how to approach you differently. He can no longer rely on his typical behavior to dominate the conversation or inflate his ego. Silence, in this sense, takes the power back, making the dynamic shift in your favor. But let's be clear. Creating mystery through silence isn't about manipulation or playing hard to get. It's about shifting the focus away from constantly proving yourself to simply being yourself. It's about embodying a deep confidence where you don't feel the need to explain, justify, or defend your worth. And that kind of silent confidence is magnetic. It attracts people without you having to say a word. Now, let's talk about respect. Respect isn't something you can demand. It's something you command through your actions. And silence is one of the most effective tools for commanding respect. When you choose not to engage with ego-driven behavior, you're setting a clear boundary. You're saying, I respect myself too much to engage in this. And when others see that you respect yourself, they're more likely to respect you in return. This is where Stoic love comes in. In Stoicism, respect begins with self-discipline, controlling your reactions, choosing your battles, and prioritizing your peace. By practicing silence, you demonstrate this discipline in a way that's powerful, yet graceful. You're not just reacting to the world around you, you're shaping it by deciding where to place your attention and energy. But silence doesn't just earn respect, it also cultivates curiosity. When you're not constantly explaining yourself or filling every silence with words, people can't help but be drawn to you. They want to know more. They begin to notice the way you carry yourself, the subtle expressions on your face, and the calm confidence that radiates from you. The more they wonder about you, the more intrigued they become. This is especially effective when dealing with a man who is used to commanding attention. Your silence signals that you're different, that you're not swayed by superficial bravado. It challenges him to rise to your level instead of pulling you down to his. As he works harder to earn your attention and respect, the power dynamic shifts and the relationship transforms. Think about how freeing this can be. How often do we feel the pressure to justify ourselves, to defend our actions, or to match someone else's energy? Silence frees you from that cycle. It gives you the freedom to communicate your worth without saying a word, and in doing so, it transforms the way others see you. But let me ask you, when was the last time you let silence speak for you? When did you choose not to react or fill the space with words and instead simply be present? If it's been a while, that's okay. Mastering the art of silence takes practice, but the rewards are worth it. As you start to use silence more intentionally, you'll notice something remarkable. The people around you, especially those with inflated egos, will treat you differently. They'll approach you with more care, more respect, and more thoughtfulness. And you, in turn, will feel more grounded, confident, and in control of your interactions. Remember, silence isn't about withholding. It's about choosing. Choosing when to speak and when to listen. Choosing to protect your peace instead of proving your point. Choosing to let your actions, your presence, and yes, even your silence, do the talking. And in those choices, you'll discover a power that words alone could never provide. If this resonated with you and you're ready to embrace the power of silence in your life, I want to hear from you. Drop a 1 in the comments below if you're ready to take control of your interactions with grace and confidence. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more powerful insights and strategies. By subscribing, you'll be taking the first step in transforming not just how you communicate, but how you command respect and elevate every relationship in your life. Stay with us, because in the next part of this journey, we'll uncover even more ways silence can protect your peace and help you navigate relationships with confidence. 6. Techniques to practice silence effectively. Silence may seem like a simple concept, but mastering it is an art, a delicate, powerful skill that demands practice, intention, and unwavering confidence. In this section, we're going to explore practical techniques that will not only help you wield silence effectively, but also transform it into a powerful tool for commanding respect and protecting your energy, especially when dealing with someone whose ego is larger than life. By the end of this, you'll be equipped to use your silence like both a shield and a sword, defending your peace and elevating your presence without saying a word. First, let's shift your mindset. Silence is never passive. It is not about retreating or avoiding. It is about reclaiming your power. When you adopt this mindset, silence no longer feels uncomfortable or weak. It becomes a choice, a deliberate decision to respond or not respond in a way that aligns with your true intentions. Imagine this: the next time someone challenges you or pushes your buttons, instead of rushing to react, you simply pause. By choosing silence, you reshape the moment. You're no longer at the mercy of someone else's narrative. You're the one who shapes the story. The first technique to master silence is learning to pause. This might seem simple, but in high-pressure moments, pausing can feel impossible. We all have a natural instinct to react, whether it's to defend ourselves, explain ourselves, or match someone's energy. But here's the secret. Pausing creates space. It gives you room to breathe, to ground yourself, and to decide how you want to respond. The next time you feel the urge to jump into a conversation or engage in an argument, try this. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale slowly, hold for a few seconds, and exhale deeply. Allow the silence to settle and give yourself time to reflect before you make your next move. Your body language is your ally when practicing silence. Even when you're not speaking, your posture, your eye contact, and your facial expressions communicate everything. Think about how you sit or stand, relaxed but poised. Soft, steady eye contact without staring or avoiding. A neutral expression, neither hostile nor overly accommodating. This composed presence sends a message. Your silence is intentional, not accidental. You're not disengaging from the conversation. You're simply choosing not to play by someone else's rules. Timing is crucial. Silence becomes even more powerful when used in moments of tension, arrogance, or conflict. When you're dealing with a man who has an inflated ego, silence disrupts his rhythm. He's expecting a reaction, whether it's an argument, validation, or agreement. When you withhold that response, you break the cycle. He's left to fill the void with his own thoughts, often fumbling as he tries to regain control. This subtle shift can flip the power dynamic in your favor, leaving him questioning how to handle your calm, unshakable presence. But silence isn't just about not speaking. It's about listening deeply. Pay attention, not only to what's being said, but to what's being unsaid. Why is he speaking this way? What is his true intention? Is his ego masking insecurity or a need for validation? The more you understand his motives, the more strategic your silence becomes. By listening rather than reacting, you gain insight and clarity, putting you in control of the conversation without ever having to say a word. Now let's clarify. Silence should never be used as a weapon or to punish someone. The silent treatment is about withdrawing emotionally, but strategic silence is about staying present while refusing to engage in unproductive behavior. The difference may be subtle, but it's powerful. One alienates, the other empowers. Your silence, when practiced with intention, becomes an invitation for deeper understanding, not a way to shut someone out. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're at dinner with someone who loves to dominate the conversation. He's bragging about his achievements, interrupting you, and dismissing anything you say. Rather than trying to compete with him or engage in his energy, try this. Lean back slightly, listen attentively, and nod occasionally without rushing to speak. When he pauses for breath, resist the urge to fill the silence. Let it linger. Watch how he reacts. More often than not, he'll feel the weight of his own words in the absence of yours. This simple technique subtly shifts the power dynamic without you having to say a single word. Another powerful technique is setting boundaries with silence. If someone tries to provoke you, bait you into an argument, or drag you into drama, use silence as a boundary. Respond with a calm but firm pause. Your silence in this moment says, "I'm not engaging in this." Pair it with strong, confident body language, and you've just set a boundary with nothing more than your presence. It's not about being rude or standoffish. It's about protecting your peace. Remember, silence is a skill that takes practice. Don't be discouraged if it feels uncomfortable at first. Like any skill, it takes time to develop. Start by using silence in low-stakes situations like conversations with friends or colleagues to get a feel for its impact. As you grow more confident, you'll find that silence becomes your strongest ally in higher-stakes scenarios, particularly with individuals who have inflated egos. What's so beautiful about silence is that it doesn't just change how others see you, it transforms the way you see yourself. You'll start to realize that you don't need to explain, justify, or defend your worth. Your silence becomes a reflection of your inner strength, self-respect, and clarity of purpose. Now, take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you chose silence over action? What happened as a result? If you've never intentionally used silence as a strategy, now is the perfect time to start. Silence isn't about withdrawing. It's about stepping into your power. It's about embodying such deep confidence that you don't need to explain yourself. As you practice these techniques, you'll notice something remarkable. The people around you, especially men with inflated egos, will treat you differently. They'll approach you with more care, thoughtfulness, and respect. Why? Because silence demands respect. It forces others to think before they speak, reconsider their actions, and approach you on your terms. If you found these techniques inspiring and are ready to start mastering the art of silence in your own life, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're committed to using silence as a tool for power and respect. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Subscribing will ensure you never miss the next part of this transformative series, where we'll dive deeper into how silence can protect your inner peace and help you navigate relationships with unshakable confidence. You won't want to miss what's coming next. 7. How silence protects your peace. In today's world of constant noise, Where arguments, distractions, and demands pull at you from all sides, silence becomes more than just a tool, it's a sanctuary. It's the space where your peace is preserved, your clarity is restored, and your sense of self is protected. Silence is a fortress, a shield for your mental and emotional well-being, especially when navigating encounters with egos larger than life. When you master the art of strategic silence, you not only improve your relationships, but also create a sacred space for calm, clarity, and self-respect. Let's dive into the power of silence and how it serves as a shield for your peace of mind. Life is often a battle, a constant push and pull with people who demand control or attention. Men with inflated egos, in particular, can be emotionally exhausting. Their behavior often leaves you feeling drained, frustrated, or disrespected, sometimes even questioning your own worth. In these moments, silence is your savior. Instead of allowing yourself to be swept up in the chaos, silence becomes the anchor that grounds you. By choosing silence, you disengage from the storm, refusing to let their drama dictate your emotional state. Imagine this scenario. You're in the middle of a heated argument, and the person you're speaking with is raising his voice, trying to have the last word. Your immediate reaction might be to defend yourself, to match his energy, or to argue back. But what if, instead, you paused? What if you took a deep breath and let his words hang in the air? This is where silence becomes your power. By choosing not to react, you set a boundary without saying a word that declares, "I won't let you disrupt my peace." It's a quiet yet firm way to protect your inner calm. But protecting your peace through silence isn't about ignoring your emotions or burying your feelings. In fact, silence gives you the space you need to process those emotions more effectively. When you step back from a conflict and embrace the stillness, you allow yourself to reflect. You can ask yourself, what am I truly feeling right now? Why is this situation bothering me? What do I need in this moment to feel at peace? By giving yourself this moment of clarity, you empower yourself to respond, not out of impulse, but in a way that aligns with your values and your inner strength. Silence is also a masterful tool for diffusing tension. Think of it as a pause button. In the heat of an argument, or when emotions are running high, silence provides everyone, yourself included, a chance to reset. It prevents you from saying something in the heat of the moment that you might regret later. It gives the other person a chance to reconsider their words and actions. In this way, silence doesn't just preserve your peace, it often de-escalates a situation before it spirals into something worse. And silence doesn't just apply in moments of conflict, it's also a tool for managing everyday interactions that drain your energy. For instance, imagine a man who constantly seeks validation, boasting about his achievements or fishing for compliments. Rather than feeding into his behavior and adding fuel to the fire, you can choose silence. This doesn't mean you're being rude or dismissive. It simply means you're no longer willing to invest your energy where it's not valued. Over time, this creates a powerful ripple effect. People begin to understand that your attention is precious and not something they can take for granted. This subtle shift in behavior shows others that your peace is non-negotiable. Silence also empowers you by putting you in control of your emotional energy. Every time you engage in an argument or try to prove your worth to someone with an inflated ego, you're handing over your power. You're allowing their behavior to dictate your emotional state and actions. But when you choose silence, you take that power back. You stop reacting to them and start responding to what you need: peace, calm, and clarity. Let's take this one step further. Silence is an act of self-care and self-respect. By choosing silence, you're saying, I value my well-being too much to let someone else's negativity disrupt it. This mindset is rooted in Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and emotions, while letting go of what we can't. By practicing silence, you embrace this principle, allowing you to let go of the need to control others and instead focus on maintaining your own inner peace. What's truly remarkable is that silence doesn't just protect your peace, it transforms the way others perceive you. A woman who remains calm and composed, even in the face of arrogance or conflict, exudes strength. She's someone who cannot be easily rattled, someone who understands her worth without needing to prove it. This energy is magnetic, it commands respect, and it inspires others to rise to your level of calm and clarity. And let's not overlook the profound personal benefits of silence. When you choose silence with intention, you begin to experience a shift in your inner world. Your mind becomes quieter, your emotions become more balanced. Your sense of self becomes stronger and more grounded. No longer are you at the mercy of external chaos. You become the creator of your own narrative. This inner peace bleeds into every area of your life, from your relationships to your career to your overall sense of fulfillment. So, how do you cultivate this powerful peace through silence? Start small. The next time you feel tension rising, resist the urge to react immediately. Pause. Take a moment to breathe deeply and let the silence settle. Focus on grounding techniques, like deep breathing or visualizing a peaceful scene in your mind. Remind yourself that silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a declaration of strength. And above all, trust that your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. As you integrate this practice into your life, you'll notice something profound. The more you protect your peace, the more others will respect it. Men with inflated egos, who once seemed impossible to deal with, will begin to approach you with a newfound respect. They'll sense your unshakable calm and adapt their behavior accordingly. And even if they don't, you'll walk away knowing that your peace is non-negotiable. Silence is not just a response, it's a way of living. It's a commitment to yourself, a promise to prioritize your well-being over unnecessary drama or conflict. In that commitment, you'll discover a freedom and strength that words could never provide. If you're ready to start practicing silence to protect your peace, give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who could benefit, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This journey toward mastering silence is just beginning, and you won't want to miss the next part of this series. In the next section, we'll explore when breaking your silence becomes the ultimate act of strength. Trust me, you'll want to be part of it. Breaking the silence. Harnessing the power of your voice. Imagine this. You've mastered the art of silence. You've learned how to pause, to hold your ground, and to let your presence command respect without uttering a word. You've become a master at guarding your peace, a force of calm in a noisy world. But then, something shifts. The man with the inflated ego, who has been trying to provoke a reaction from you, starts to notice something. He's not getting the rise he craves. He softens. He asks questions. He genuinely seeks your input. Or perhaps the conversation moves into territory where silence could be misinterpreted as indifference, even agreement, with something you fundamentally oppose. In moments like these, silence must give way to your voice. Breaking your silence doesn't mean losing your power, it means using it intentionally. Think of silence as the foundation upon which your words can stand strong. When you choose to speak after a period of deliberate silence, your words are no longer just noise. They carry weight. They command attention. Silence transforms your words into something far more meaningful than the endless chatter most people engage in. It's the art of speaking with purpose, knowing that every word matters. So, when is the right time to break your silence? The most important rule to follow is simple. Speak when it aligns with your values. If someone disrespects you, crosses a boundary, or brings up an issue that requires clarity, silence may send the wrong message. In these instances, breaking your silence is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you won't tolerate disrespect, and you will stand up for yourself calmly, assertively, and with intention. Example: picture this. You're in a professional meeting, and the man with the inflated ego dismisses your ideas without a second thought. You've been silent, observing his behavior. But now the moment arrives when it's time to speak. Instead of retaliating with anger or frustration, you respond with quiet confidence, saying, "I appreciate your viewpoint, but I'd like to share my thoughts as well." Just like that, the entire tone of the conversation shifts. Your silence has prepared the ground for your words to land with precision, and suddenly, you're not just heard, you're respected. But what about situations where silence might cause harm? If someone's actions are not just ego-driven but harmful or manipulative, staying silent could be misinterpreted as complicity. In these moments, your voice is not just important, it's essential. You're not just protecting your peace, you're actively defending your boundaries and those of others. This is where the balance between silence and assertiveness truly comes into play. Breaking your silence thoughtfully allows you to assert control without losing your sense of calm or dignity. You speak not out of reaction, but from a place of strength and clarity. Timing is crucial here. The best time to break your silence is when the emotional intensity has subsided, when the heat of the moment has passed, and you can speak from a grounded, centered place rather than in the rush of impulsive emotions. Your words, now rooted in strength, are a tool for connection, not for conflict. Tone matters too. When you break your silence, ensure your tone is firm but kind, assertive but not aggressive. This demonstrates emotional intelligence and self-control qualities that demand respect even when you need to address difficult behavior. Your tone will communicate boundaries clearly without escalating the situation. Here's something crucial to remember. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Breaking your silence doesn't mean over-explaining or justifying yourself to people who aren't truly listening. Choose your battles, speak when it matters, and let silence work its magic for everything else. If your words won't serve a productive purpose, silence is still the most powerful option. Here's a powerful example of how breaking your silence can change the game. A woman I once worked with had a boss who consistently took credit for her ideas. She watched quietly for months, choosing her moments carefully. Then, one day, during a team meeting, her boss tried to take credit for a project she had spearheaded. Instead of staying silent this time, she calmly said, "Thank you for highlighting that project. I'm proud of the work I put into it and the results we achieved as a team." Her words were poised, confident, and backed by months of silence. The entire room shifted in her favor. Her boss never attempted to take credit for her work again. Breaking her silence didn't just change the situation, it transformed how others saw her. Her words, coming after thoughtful silence, were perceived as deliberate, powerful, and undeniably deserving of respect. Breaking your silence doesn't just change the energy of a conversation, it alters how people perceive you. When you use your voice strategically, you stop being a passive participant. You become a force to be reckoned with. As you learn to balance silence and speech, you'll find that navigating relationships becomes smoother. You'll know when to hold back, when to step forward, and when to make sure your voice is heard. Silence and speech are not opposing forces. They are complementary tools that work together to protect your peace, command respect, and create meaningful connections. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. If this insight has resonated with you, drop a number 1 in the comments below and share how you plan to incorporate the balance of silence and speech into your life. If you're enjoying this journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is not just appreciated, it helps us continue creating content that empowers and transforms lives. Remember, silence isn't about retreating into the background. It's about choosing your battles, protecting your peace, and owning your power. It's about practicing emotional control and self-discipline, principles rooted in stoicism, where you focus on what truly matters, your peace and your worth. When you embrace silence, you embody these stoic principles, maintaining your calm while engaging with the world on your own terms. As you step into this new way of being, I want to leave you with a challenge. How will you use silence to elevate your life? Will you use it to protect your peace, to set boundaries, or to command respect? The choice is yours, and I have no doubt you'll transform not only your relationships, but your entire approach to life. If you've been inspired by this series, please share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who could benefit from these transformative strategies. Thank you for being part of this journey. Your time, energy, and growth mean the world to me. Here's to embracing the power of silence and stepping into the confident, peaceful, and magnetic person you are destined to be. Until next time, take care, stay grounded, and never underestimate the strength that lies in your quiet power. You've got this.